This is my Fender Tonemaster Deluxe Reverb, and it sounds a little bit like this. And this is my new Headrush Flex Prime, and it sounds a little bit like this. Now, while I wouldn't consider myself a master of tone by any means, and this is a small sample size, I happen to think that both of these sound really good. That said, this really isn't a comparison video, even if it kind of started out as one. So I did quite a bit of research before buying the Flex Prime. And through that research, I found out that there's really like a never-ending conversation about amps versus multi-effects pedals and modeling. And most of this conversation was centered around, like what sounds better. But to be honest, that's not the reason why I bought this at all. See, the reason I bought the Headrush Flex Prime is ironically the same reason I bought my Fender Tonemaster Deluxe Reverb a few years ago. And that reason is to gig. But if I already have a great amp, why make this purchase anyway? Now, really quickly, there are two things that I want to mention. One, I've been playing guitar around 15 to 16 years now, and I'm 31, so I guess you can say I've been kind of playing like half my life. But being transparent, I spent a lot of that time kind of in rooms like this one, and not on stage really where I want to be. Now, my gigging experience isn't zero, but it's not really that expansive either. Early on, I played at a church where I was the only musician, and we really just played the backing tracks the entire time. And then later on, I kind of went into another church and I played there for a while with some real musicians, and that was a really good experience. There was also some events and stuff, like kind of in between, but there was nothing really like regular outside of the church. And those experiences should have influenced what I bought and why I bought it. And while a lot of times it did, oftentimes I still made the wrong purchase. And this brings me to the second thing I wanted to mention, which is gear. And to keep it short and sweet, look, gear is a rabbit hole. You don't need more gear, and I don't need more gear. I feel as though instruments and gear are just tools to do a job, even if that job is just to make you happy and to express yourself. Gear gets expensive, and it's a ton of it out there. So let experience, budget, and actual need facilitate the decision to buy, and not just people on YouTube or social media. Now, I know I said the reason I bought this was to gig, and that's true. But from a gear perspective, I did not need to buy this in order to gig because my current pedal board and amp setup could theoretically work. But I didn't want to sound like a hypocrite, so let me explain. This is my current pedal board, and I made this board around like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe even longer. And it does look kind of ridiculous, but it works. And the pedals weren't always set up like this. They just kind of ended up like this recently because I was trying some stuff out. But yeah, it worked. Now, around the time I made this board, I was still buying gear with like limited knowledge and experience. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted my sound to be, so I would try a pedal, and if I liked it enough, I bought it. But oftentimes I'd buy something that I thought sounded cool, even if it didn't quite fit the music that I was playing at the time. Also, I was mainly buying whatever cheap and used gear I could find in my local guitar shop, which means my selection was, kind of limited. As a matter of fact, I think the Strymon power supply on the back might have been the most expensive thing on the board. So after realizing I was wasting money, I decided not to buy any more pedals, which, left me with this small group that you see here, but it got me by, honestly. And all of this used to run through a Fender Blues Deluxe, but that weighed like £1,000,000. And honestly, it was way too loud to play at home or in these small rooms that I was in. So I replaced it with the Tonemaster. The issue now is this reverb pedal has an issue that pretty much makes it unusable. And then honestly, as a suite, these pedals really just don't inspire me anymore. So why did I buy the Headrush Flex Prime? While I don't know if this is a one purchase to solve everything kind of deal, even though it potentially could be, it does solve all of the things I just mentioned while also fitting the criteria that I had for myself to make this purchase, which was budget friendly, practicality, and flexibility. And I know you're probably asking, what about sound? That should matter too, right? And yes, it does. But to be honest, with today's tech, most of all of these, multi-effects pedals sound good. To me, none of them sound really bad. And sound is super subjective. So if you think something sound good, then honestly for you, that should be enough. Now, right out of the gate, out of all the multi-effects pedals that I was considering, those being the Line 6 Pod Go, a used Line 6 Helix LT, and the Headrush Flex Prime, the Headrush Flex Prime was the most affordable out of all of those at $450 on sale. And while the Line 6 Pod Go is normally only about $100 more than the Headrush, it is an older product. And that was worth noting to me because of the apparent DSP limits and some of the tech inside of both products. And as far as the Line 6 Helix LT goes, even used, it was still like $700 on top of me being kind of nervous to purchase something used online that I couldn't really see. And to be honest, with budget being my biggest thing, $700 was just too much money for me. Now, what I didn't expect was the Flex Prime to be such a good value proposition, which kind of brings me to the next thing, which is practicality. So though it's the smallest version between all the siblings, the Flex Prime has the same processing power as the bigger versions and nearly all the same features. It has all the same amps, all the same effects pedals, the same amp capture technology. It also has a looper, a drum machine, a tuner, a touchscreen. It has Wi-Fi capabilities, meaning I can control it from my iPad or my cell phone. I mean, there's not much that it doesn't have. And this gives me the option to use it in so many different ways, along with being able to build and try out any sounds that I want without having to go and buy a bunch of different pedals. Now, lastly, the Flex Prime is very well flexible, and no pun intended. Outside of all the different sounds you can get out of it, you can also plug this directly into like a soundboard or a mixer or whatever the case. And you can even use it with an amp if you want to. Now, if you know anything about the Fender Tonemaster series, then you probably know that you can also run these DI into like a DAW or a mixer or a soundboard or whatever. But in my opinion, it honestly doesn't sound good at all. And while the Tonemaster is really light for an amp, the Headrush is even lighter than that. You can fit it in a bag, you can fit it in a backpack. And while that really wasn't a requirement for me, it is nice to not have to tote a bunch of stuff around if I don't need to. So with all of that said, I really have a lot of learning and figuring out to do with the Headrush Flex Prime. And to be honest, between all of the multi-effects pedals that you can buy today, especially like the really high-end stuff, I can kind of see why maybe people don't use amps as much anymore. But what's your take? Do you like these? Do you have one? Have you ever used one? Has it replaced your amp? Let me know down in the comments because I'm really interested, and you know I'll be down there talking to y'all. So hit me up and let me know. And until then, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one.